I always come in from the back because these are the people with the quick getaway that can sneak out the door, be on their cell phones. So usually my front rows like when I analyze the people back here first. Is that the case here in New York? Yes? Yeah, so let's look around. What do we have right here? Look at this guy right here. He's doing this elbow pop. And so is this guy and this guy. Look, we got the hat trick. Actually, we've got 4 men here doing these elbow pops. This is very 40s, 50s chic. We would see Liz Taylor do this with a long cigarette. Look at me, boys. Look at me. I brought Liz up on the screen so you can check it out. J-Lo does this move too. In my next slide, you'll see J-Lo. So these men, keep an eye on them. They're either already important or they're on their way to becoming very important. So on the break, make sure you talk to them. See, when we're confident, we take up space. I'm going to challenge us today in what are you saying without saying a word, and what are others saying without saying a word. Many of you may not realize that body language shows up to 5 seconds before thought. So I'm going to share techniques with you today, and you're going to learn that I always say you can't unsee them, unexperience them, or unhear them. And so now you're going to be in a meeting, or you're going to be talking to the public at a lectern, and someone's going to ask you a question, and you're going to do one of the moves we're going to talk about. And you're going to be like, holy crap, I just did the thing that body language girl talked about. And when she showed me, I'm like, I totally never do that. And you're going to start noticing how often you do these things and what it indicates. Because here, as elected officials, whether you like it or not, you have someone on the opposite end of the media screen analyzing your every move. And we get out there on CNN and on Headline News and on Fox, and we're saying they're not being forthright. There's something they're not saying. Think about Paula Deen. So Paula Deen went on the Today Show after a lawsuit, which she settled out, she took it to court. And she went on the Today Show and said she would never say this word again, and she started crying. She went from being the persecutor to becoming the victim. For those of you who've never said something you wish you couldn't take back, I challenge you to pick up the biggest rock you can find and smash me over the head with it until you kill me dead. 48 hours later, she lost $10 million of her empire. We are analyzing you constantly. So I'm going to challenge, what are you saying without saying a word? And is it congruent with who you believe you are? Or is there a hiccup here? And then how do you read others more accurately? Isn't this something you guys would be interested in? Yes? Yes? Say yes, Janine. Yes, Janine. All right, so here's the deal. Harvard Business Review came out with a study a couple years ago, and they talked about it. And here's what it is. When we meet a new human for the first time, we're asking ourselves 2 questions. So I'm going to ask you right now, what do you think those questions are? You're meeting me maybe for the first time. You're asking yourself these 2 questions about me, and I'm asking them about you. So what do you think they are? Think high level, chunk up. What are you asking yourself about me? Friend or foe? Can I trust this person? Okay, great. Can I trust this person? What else are you asking yourself? Can I respect this person? So how can they be of help? Can I respect this person? If you're a note-taking person, this for sure is going to be a presentation you're going to want to take notes on. I also invite you, feel free to videotape the daylights out of me or take still pictures of my screen. I notice this screen is darker than this one, so you may want to switch if you're one of these people you want to remember it later. So here's the deal. When we meet you, we lead with, can I trust you? And then I say, can I respect you? You're a politician, so we already know you have credentials. But we do this opposite. When I meet you, you start with your credentials. Hi, I'm the senator for blah, blah, blah. I've been in politics my whole life. I'm born and raised in Scranton, Pennsylvania, but when I was in junior high, I moved over to New York, and ever since I've spent a life of public service in New York. You lead with, I should respect you, which is connected with competence. The hiccup is, we're asking ourselves first, can I trust you? I want you to think of the caveman days. This cave chick comes to town. She's part of my tribe right now. Am I asking in my head, I wonder if she can make a good fire? Or am I asking, when I go to bed tonight, is she going to kill me, my husband, and my kids? Which one am I asking first? Can I trust her is more important than can I respect her. Respect, again, is connected with competence. And trust is connected to warmth and likability. Now, many of us think warmth and likability is connected to storytelling, which part of it is. However, to really kick up your warmth and likability really fast, I'm going to challenge you in 2020 to be interested instead of interesting. I think a lot of people, just in general, we want to be interesting. You know a lot of really cool stuff. You know history about this wonderful state. I used to live in New York City. I lived at 78th and 78th and 2nd, and then I lived at 95th and 3rd. So I'm from Boston originally. I'm a Northeast mutt. When people meet me, they always say New York. They can tell there's something about my accent because I was raised in Boston to 18, then went to Connecticut, and then New York City. There's a moxie that we have, I think, in the Northeast. There's this realism, and we're storytellers in general. Be interested instead of interesting. This is not always easy to do. So I'm going to walk you through. I'm a swearing Christian. Any swearing Christians here? Anybody? I say any Christians, no one raises their hand. I go, swearing Christians? I'm like, I'll own up to that. You know, I'm not perfect. So Charlie, my middle son, I have 3 sons, Angus, Charlie, and Jack. Charlie's the middle. My husband and I put him in kindergarten this year in a Christian school in Alexandria, Virginia, where we live. And we register him at the school. I have a very introverted side. I speak to 14,000 people sometimes, down to 8 people in a boardroom. I travel 100 times a year around planet Earth, speaking and giving my presentation. We have a 5-day presentation. We have a 20-minute presentation that I'll sometimes do 5 times in a row at an event. I tell you this because up until a couple years ago, I would always lead with, I can help you. Here's how I can help you. Hi, my name's Janine. I'll donate my time. I'll speak for free. You could do it as a fundraiser. We'll split the... Like I always lead with, I'm here to help you. I want to help human beings. I went into law enforcement because I wanted to help people make smarter decisions with their friends, their family, and their finances. Because when I was a little kid, a next-door neighbor violated my trust, and then 10 years after that, at 15, a guy tried to kidnap me. The same year, Adam Walsh went missing and was kidnapped outside of a Sears. And I remember in my little 15-year-old brain thinking, they don't know whatever happened to Adam Walsh. My parents aren't going to know what happens. I went and picked up my check at a Mr. Donuts. I rode my bike. It was 5 in the morning. It was in the summer, August, but it was pouring rain out, so it was dark. Not one car was on the road. My parents were still sleeping when I got on my bike to drive down there. I'm very determined and stubborn. But we were going camping for 2 weeks. And I knew the owner of this Mr. Donuts had a cocaine problem. And in my little 15-year-old head, I was thinking, this guy's going to be raided while I'm camping, and I'm not going to get paid my money. So I have to go get my check before I leave on this camping trip with my family. A guy rides by in his car, says, hey, kid, why don't you throw your bike in the trunk of my car and I'll give you a ride home? Have you ever looked at someone and you immediately knew there's something not good about that person? Have you ever had that vibe? Like it might be your kid's friends. You know, your kid brings 3 friends over. You've never met all 3 of them, but there's that one. You're like, now who's that guy? What's his name, Bill? Tell me about Bill's family. I want to know a little bit about Bill. Well, why Bill? I brought 7 friends home. I just want to know about Bill, right? You ever had that vibe? Right? Your BS barometer, I call it. If you're religious, they call it the gift of discernment, right? You know immediately there's something I can't trust about that. And sometimes it's the overly friendly people. Hi, we've heard great things about you. Can I get you a cup of coffee or tea? Right? And you're like, phony, right? You know it right away, right? There's that lack of authenticity. I looked at this guy in the pitch black morning, and my alarm went off. He's going to kidnap me. Bike versus car, he doesn't care if my bones are broken. He's going to take the car, hit me on the bike, my broken bike will be there, and he's going to throw me in the trunk of his car. And in my little teeny 15-year-old brain, because I had been sexually violated by a neighbor 10 years earlier, something shifted in my brain where I paid attention to the alarm. A guy named Gavin DeBecker would call it the gift of fear. And it lit up. And I said, okay, he's going to get me. However, I see there's a bank, Bay Bank, right there, 2 blocks away. I can't drive my bike 2.8 miles home because he'll get me, but I can get to the bank. And if he gets me there, maybe there'll be a camera that videotapes him. And unlike little Adam Walsh, my parents will have closure. Police will know where to start their investigation. My only job was to get my little bike and my little body at 15 to that Bay Bank and drive through the drive-thru. Lo and behold, that car followed me all the way there, opened the door, screamed, get in that fucking car, and tried to grab me. As I pulled through the drive-through, he stopped. And by what I consider the grace of God, the metal fence that was about 12 feet high behind Baybank, that was at the top of a 6-foot hill going to another shopping plaza, someone had cut a hole in that fence. I have no idea where it was created or who did it. I rode my bike down that little path and into a Star Market where the little area was open where the bubblegum machines were. And I used a thing for the millennials. You'll see it in movies. It's called a payphone. It's a metal box on a wall. And I called the police, and my mom and dad were awoken with a knock on the door by the police, and they had me with them while they were sound asleep and didn't even know I left. That story changed my life forever. It changed my life forever, and it put me on this track. And while that story is interesting, and maybe you want to know why I got passionate about law enforcement, I went to Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF. My dad said I'm his daughter who turned her hobbies into a career, drinking, smoking, and shooting. And I don't do any of those things as often as I used to. And I went into ATF to protect families and friends and your finances and help you decode human behavior and be able to influence it in a positive way. And how am I being influenced? So here's the story. We registered for Charlie for this school, this Christian school. I'm very private at social gatherings. I'm never going to go to your teas or your drinks or your fundraisers. It's not my cup of tea. But my husband is Mr. PTA. Everyone thinks I'm a myth in the school system because I don't show up. But my husband's like, I'll volunteer during lunch. I'll volunteer at the book fair. It's his jam. It's not mine. So I go because it's a new Christian school. I show up. My husband wants to hang out, as you might imagine, at the table full of treats and coffee and all that stuff so he can say hi to everyone. He's in politics. He's a Republican media advisor. Any Republicans here? So, right, he gets you people elected, right? So he's into it, and he's in these political events. It's not my cup of tea. So my husband's Mr. Networking. I go, listen, I'm here. We're not hanging out at the coffee, handing out cream. We're going to go over here. We're in the library. A person who wants to disappear at a Christian school in a library, what section do you hang out in the library? Sexual education. So I went over to psychology, sexual education. I'm like, everyone's going to leave me alone here. Seconds later, the head of the school walks in the library, and who do you think out of the 80 people in the room he walks over to introduce himself to? Yeah, me and my husband, right? And he's like, hi, how are my husband and I? So hi, I'm blah, 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 head of the school. Now, old Janine a couple years ago would have said this when he asked us, what do you do for a living? That Janine, a couple of years ago, would have said, I'm a body language expert. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I wrote the only book on body language to ever make the New York Times bestsellers list to this day. I'm the first New York Times bestselling author I ever met is me. And I would love to donate my time. You could do a fundraiser for this private school. And I'd love to help, or do a coffee where I speak to the parents or the teachers. Let me know how I can help. My husband's a Republican media advisor, so he does things like buys and writes scripts and does radio commercials and however he can help the school. But new Janine, who wants to be interested instead of interesting, when he said, what do you do? Here's how I responded. What do you do? I said, listen, you'll learn that over the years. We plan on sticking around for a long time. We love your school. More importantly, what's on your mind? And he said, well, we started a new high school this year. And I go, yes. And he goes, we only have 17 kids registered for our high school. I go, wow, so you have 17 kids registered for your high school. This is nothing new to you. You're in politics. So all I'm doing is, some people call it parroting or echoing. I'm echoing what they said, right? So what he's saying to me. I go, so you have 17 kids registered for the school. Yeah. Anything else on your mind? He goes, yeah. These kids want to play sports, but we can't have a sports team because it's 17 combined, girls and boys. Every single kid would have to play lacrosse and hockey and football and basketball, in track. We're struggling because these kids want to play sports. I go, so the kids want to play sports, but with 17 students, you can't do it. Anything else on your mind? And he goes, yeah. We're really worried about, we have this school that fits 500 kids, and we have 17. We're really worried about how we're going to market this moving forward because we obviously didn't do a good job last year. So you're worried about marketing and doing a better job next year. Anything else? He said, no, that's it. At this point, what I want to share with you is when people are answering your questions, the first question is usually BS. It's superficial. what's on your mind? Climate control. What's on your mind? This whole paying off college debt. I saved money for paying my kid. Am I going to get a refund because everyone else is going to get to go free, right? That just Elizabeth Warren was attacked by a dad. Like, are you going to repay me my money back? Right? So we start at these superficial issues that everyone's talking about. And as we peel back the layers and you're truly interested when you talk to someone, which is your body language is interested, you're looking at the person as you're talking to them, magic will begin to happen. So instead of me offering my services to this guy, I said, what can my husband and I do to help? Is there anything we can do? He said, would you mind praying for our school? I said, you got it. We will pray for your high school and for your school. Now, which version of myself and my husband do you think the head of the school would like to go and say hello to next time? The version that says, I'm a body language expert, and I'm a New York Times bestselling author, and my husband's in politics, and anything we can do to raise money for the school, we'll be more than willing to help you raise some money for the school. Or the version that says, what's on your mind, what's on your mind, what's on your mind, how can we help? So many of us are trying to help people, but you don't even know the issue behind the issue behind the issue. Are you following me? See, one of the ways to be trusted is to be warm and likable. And to be warm and likable, step one is just truly look at the person in front of you and listen. And listen. I can't tell you how many events I go to, and they go, Janine, I'm so excited you're here. Come on in. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm the meeting planner. They don't even look at me. They literally don't even look at me. Instead of stopping and saying, hey, I'm so glad that you're here. Are you seeing the people that are in front of you? Because if you're not, today we're all about authenticity and being seen. People want to be seen. Slow it down. I say it's the difference between Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Now, I don't know if you're Clinton fans or not. Here's how it goes down. Bill Clinton shakes someone's hand, and he goes like this. Hello, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. People who have met him, even if they don't like his political beliefs, say he makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. What Bill Clinton does is when he walks away, he continues to look at you as if he hates to let you go, and then he comes over here. Now, watch this. If you're a note-taking person, you're going to take this down. It's called the belly button rule. We face our belly button towards people we like, admire, and trust. So if you're a politician, meaning multiple people, step one is pay attention to the belly button rule. Many people in politics do this. Nice to meet you. You're giving them the cold shoulder. You're saying, hi, this is what Hillary does. Hi, I don't care who you are, and I don't care who you are, and I won't even look at this tool. I'm not even going to look at this tool. Hillary, with all due respect, I was of the camp I felt like America could do better than the top two candidates in the last election. I was that camp. Like, really? Can we do can we start over and do a reset? So, I'm an independent. So Hillary shakes hands like this. Hi. Right and left hands. It's unbelievable. She doesn't even look at the people. Watch her in a video. She's like, hi. This is my new political thing. You are better to stop and really look at one person or two people, because what it's called a transference of power. And if I'm going to look at you and treat you with respect, everyone else begins to think, if I had a second to say hello, she would treat me with that kind of respect as well. It's a transference of power, so don't feel like you have to shake everybody's hands. I'd much rather see you meet authentically and truly care. Be interested, not interesting, in 4 people than 40 people. And take a second and connect. And if you don't get to talk to everyone, all they're going to do is be like, next time I got to get closer. I want him to hear my story. We're so quickly moving through these handshakes. So pay attention. It's over and over and over again. Look in the media. Donald Trump is the #1 president on talking about and being analyzed by people like me on his handshakes. He has like 16 different handshakes. Depends on if he likes you, if he doesn't, if he intimidates you. I mean, there's a whole montage that you can see over and over online. We're watching you. We're watching you. So the power of being likable, and that connects to, can I trust you? The power of body language. Truly, it's first a mindset. Missy? Does anyone know who she is before I introduce you? Anybody? This is Indra Nooyi. So Indra Nooyi is the former CEO of PepsiCo. She's a big chin grabber. I love Indra Nooyi. She stepped down 2 Octobers ago. Indra Nooyi was raised in India. Her mother would say to Indra and her sister every night at the dinner table, tonight you're running for president of the United States of America. Come prepared. And they would debate, and the mother would say, congratulations, you won. Tomorrow, you're running for Prime Minister of England. Come prepared. So as a young girl, her mindset was, it's okay to be defeated, become more prepared next time, do more research, and be connected to that role next time. and she becomes one of the top CEOs, female CEOs on planet Earth. So Indra Nooyi's a big chin grabber. Everyone go like this. And look at the person next to you and say, let me get you the answer to that question. Go ahead. Let me get the answer to that question. Hey, here's how this works. I know there's introverts in the room, and they don't like doing these like interactive exercises. So I asked the team here, can you put a stage? I'm not going to stand on it, but I'm going to bring introverts up. And I'm going to analyze them one at a time. You're going to love it. Because introverts like one at a time attention. Or the introverts can just mingle among the extroverts and do my little exercises. If you don't do them, that's fine. I brought Missy and Kerry from my team here. They're going to pick out the introverts and we'll bring you up on. We can get about 22, right, Miss? So let's try it again. I want everyone to go like this. Let me get you an answer to that question. Okay? Do you feel excited that this politician's going to get you the answer? This is called a pacifier. The higher the pacifiers, the more stress and anxiety. The closer we get to this thing called our brain, the more stress and anxiety is happening. So everyone go like this. I'm going to prove this to you. Do you remember United had a big debacle a couple years ago? The United guy, they tore the doctor off the airplane and smashed his face open. Remember that? Dr. Dow is his name. The CEO of United is a guy named Munoz, who United employees love this guy. But he's on TV because he has to answer to what he said. After they ripped Dr. Dow off, he writes a letter to all his employees impulsively and says, hey, we had a disgruntled, difficult person on the plane. We had to remove him from the plane. But then footage came out because someone in first class did what? They videotaped it. So now the CEO has to eat crow and go on TV and apologize. And he says, I don't think that's who United usually is. That language is atrocious. He needs a better speechwriter, am I right? I don't think that's who United typically is, usually is. What's wrong with this statement? Ask me if I have 3 sons. Typically, I do usually have 3 sons, typically. Usually I do. Right? Wouldn't you be like, I guess she's from a blended family, right? Like, I don't understand it. But Munoz in the interview does this, and he rubs his leg. So when he's doing this is stress. It's a pacifier. The way babies use pacifiers, adults pacify by touching one piece of our body to another, and I'm going to show you video clips in a second. We'll go through them quickly. So everyone go like this. Say, I'm excited to be here. Start paying attention to this. The higher the pacifier, the more stress and anxiety. So Munoz goes like this. Guess who else did this? Britney Spears. Britney Spears was pregnant. Her chest was falling out of her dress that day. She was interviewed by Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer says, the rag mags say you're pregnant and divorcing Kevin Federline. And Britney said, none of that's true. So everyone go like this, none of that's true. Then she goes down to her ankle. So knee, then ankle. So go, none of that's true. Okay? Go ahead, do it. You think it's crazy? You'd be surprised. Look at old footage of you, how often you pacify in a debate or an acceptance speech. Notice how often you are pacifying. You probably don't even realize it. But you're sending a message to the other people at the other end of the screen or in that room. There's something you're uncomfortable about. Watch your pacifiers. Britney Spears filed her divorce 2 weeks after that interview. The higher the pacifier, the more stress and anxiety. So everybody go like this. Who's on the phone? Rub your leg if you can't see me in the corners. Who's on the phone? Okay, everybody. Who's on the phone? By the way, I don't see everyone talking. Do I really have to come get the corners over here? Let's start it from the top. Who's on the phone? Okay. Go. Who's on the phone? Who's on the phone? Who's on the phone? Which person are you most stressed about being on the phone? Your body language experts, you didn't even realize it. The higher we get to the head and the brain, the more stress and anxiety. So say, I'm going to do my best here. Everybody, I'm going to do my best. 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 What are we thinking? We're screwed. I can't put my finger on it, but we're totally screwed. Right? This is not going to get solved anytime soon. Right? So the higher the pacifier, the more stress and anxiety. All right, let me see another one. This is Indra Nooyi, another chin grab pose. So if you notice yourself pacifying with a neck grab or a neck grab here or a throat grab, or you're rubbing your forehead, you cannot unnotice it moving forward. because I am putting you on high alert. You now have a new rule about your pacifiers. You will notice it 5 seconds before thought. Your body language is showing up. So by the time you think, I hope I don't look nervous, you've been looking nervous for 5 seconds. Yes?
Now, I know these are still shots. She looks attentive and thoughtful.
Stand by. Hey, questions at the end. Wrap it up, sister. Okay? I have a limited amount of time to speak. This is the move I want you to do. So this is the fix. This is the fix. It's still a pacifier, but you appear as attentive, as I'm going to solve the problem. It is literally the thinking man's pose. So the reason I'm showing you Indra Nooyi is if you notice doing this and this, or any of these, I'd much rather you go to the chin grab. So the chin grab is seen by CEOs, corporate titans around the globe. You look pensive, like I'm going to solve the problem. So if you notice you're doing this, I want you to flip to this. I call it a 7-second fix. Now try it out. Look at the person next to you and say, I'm so glad you sat next to me. So glad you made it. Okay? Now go like this. I'm so glad you sat next to me. Do you feel the difference? Do you feel it? Right? So now do I want you going back into your counties like this? Hello, everybody. I'm back. I took a body language class. I'm going to get reelected in the next round. Don't worry about it. No. It is one tool to put in your communications toolbox. That when you notice you're doing these upper level pacifiers, and you will, because you're going to create a new rule about it. Just like you have a deodorant rule. You know your deodorant rules you tell nobody about? You decide when your deodorant is gone, but you've never told a soul about your deodorant rule. The rules you're going to create now about body language are just like your deodorant rules. Some of you use deodorant until that stick in the middle comes pointing up and draws blood under your armpit, right? You're like, I think this is gone. Some of you, even while traveling in a hotel here in Albany, you put on your deodorant and a big chunk falls on the ground here. But you're like, I'm an elected politician, you know? Like, the last thing I'm going to do is put deodorant that falls. Come on. About half of you do this. And if you don't do it, your spouses are doing it, and you know it. You just never tell anybody. When I'm teaching you body language, I don't want you going and telling everyone, hey, everybody, I just took a 1 hour and 15-minute course on body language, like one of my clients recently did. My client went into their client's office. Their client said, what's going on these days? They go, we just took a 4-hour class on body language on how to read and influence human behavior. It was amazing. What's wrong with that story? Then that client, it's called, the client's client is called ABC. ABC is the largest company on supplies, like when you're remodeling your house, ABC Supplies. So they call me, the COO, and says, listen, you might want to, moving forward, tell the people taking your classes not to then tell everyone they just took a class on how to read and influence human behavior. Because he totally closed up, saying, well, what is this person doing? It's not about manipulating people. It's about reading people correctly and knowing what you're saying without saying a word.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Indra was with us about 5 years ago when we first started doing this conference. So we're thrilled to have you back. As we began every conversation.
So there we see Indra go right into that chin grab. Repeat after me. When we grab our chin, we're about to win. Okay, next one. Here are different chin grabbing people. You look very intelligent when you're doing this chin grab. It never dawned on me that all of these people are most likely liberals and Democrats. And then someone came up, a Republican, and said, you know, big thing topic today is inclusion. I go, yeah, I know, I do a program on diversity and inclusion. And the guy goes, well, in your slide of chin grabbers, you had a whole bunch of Democrats and liberals. So if you have a Republican, if one of you wants to step up and be my chin grabbing model, I would love to include you in my slide moving forward. Okay, next slide. These are 2 of my 3 sons. This is Angus, my oldest. He's now 6'1" and 14. And this is Charlie, who's now 6 and in that Christian school I told you about. I put it on Facebook, and everyone said, hey, your little one's chin grabbing his big brother. So I'm sharing you this photo for 2 reasons. One, I'll tell you at the end, that might make some of you cry. And the other, to teach your kids this. Don't go tell everyone and do a press conference on you just took a class on this. but teach your kids how to be the best version of themselves. See, I don't want you walking out of here being Janine Driver. I want you walking out saying, I am the best version of myself. And when you watch your footage after this, I invite you to go back and analyze you. It's fun to analyze politicians and athletes and CEOs. However, it's more effective when you analyze yourself. Are you showing up as strong and powerful? If you're behind here and you're talking, what's the problem with this? You're losing 50%, 75% of your message. You know, this is so 1980s. If you're talking to people like this, change it. Get a laugh. Actually connect with the people. See the people. Feel the difference here, right? To be connected. To be connected. Next slide. So MIT did a study which I find is fascinating. My left brain people want this. With 87% accuracy, we can determine how a phone call or meeting went just by looking from afar, based on the nonverbals. Based on the nonverbals. Watch this. This is what many of you know about body language. You think you're getting the Kit Kat of body language. For those of you who can't see it in the dark screen, this baby is totally punked, and the baby food is shoved in after the baby is tantalized with the Kit Kat bar. Right, wow, she must have had it before. A study was done about hand gestures, and I think this is really relevant to your industry in particular, because in the 80s and 90s, we were told to have fewer hand gestures. It's distracting. Research today shows that hand gestures are critical because we're so connected to electronics in the computer that to keep someone's attention now, talking about politics, you need hand gestures. The study even indicated that the gesture doesn't even have to match what you're saying. As long as there's some type of movement, people are like, what is she talking? What did I just miss? It looks like she's fishing. Like, what was that? I daydreamed for a second. So this is a study that's been done on TED Talks. 2 TED Talks by the same name, the same amount of time. One goes crazy viral, watched by millions, and one is watched by a couple hundred. And what they found out is that the TED Talks that are watched by the most people have 465 hand gestures in 18 minutes. The TED Talks that are watched the least are about 272 hand gestures in 18 minutes. So recently I was at an event. The Mortgage Bankers Association is a big client of mine, MBA. I was at an MBA event, and from my balcony, I watched 3 people have a conversation. I videotaped that conversation, and I'm going to show it to you at 300% speed. I don't know if we have lights here. Does someone know if we have lights that we could kill? All right, let's watch this as we kill these lights temporarily for this video. Go ahead, Miss. All right, so here are 3 people. What you may struggle to see is there's 3 people. There's a man to the left, a blonde woman in the middle, and then there's a brunette, but she has a white sweater on, and she's sitting in a white chair. So let's roll this tape. Ask yourself, who would you want to be talking to? Who would you want to have a conversation with? By the way, this is the week before Easter, so at one point I think that blonde woman even talks about the Easter bunny coming. She makes this like little Easter bunny sign. There she's driving a car. There are the bunnies, little chocolate bunnies. Who grabs your eye? I thought we could make it a little more fun if I added a splash of music. You want to see it again with some music? Missy, play it. Ask yourself, are you using hand gestures today that match your message? Are you using hand gestures that match your message? Crossed arms gets a bad rap. Crossed arms, we think of people as what? Negative, bored, disinterested. Well, someone forgot to tell this guy right here, because he's been crossed arms for a long time. Someone forgot to tell this guy up here on the screen, Steve Jobs. Crossed arms. I come from law enforcement. So I want you to imagine we're at the scene of a crime. The cop comes up. My specialty was firearms trafficking. I come up, there's some type of scene of a crime. You'll often see the cop, she arrives and crosses her arms. Whether you watch things like Criminal Minds or Law and Order, any of those, right here. Why am I crossing my arms? What am I doing as the cop at the scene of the crime? What am I doing, other than not touching it? What? I'm holding him out. No, it's all dead people here. There's no one here. What am I doing? What? I'm observing. Research shows when you cross your arms, you're using both sides of your brain. Your right brain, which is intuitive and takes risks, controls the left side of your body. Your left brain that likes facts and figures and logic controls the right side of your body. When you cross your arms, you're using both sides of your brain in that moment. You're thinking, just like I would be doing at the scene of the crime. I'm trying to solve the puzzle. You are 30% more likely to solve a difficult task or problem with crossed arms. 30% more likely to solve a difficult task or problem. I don't have time to go into the study behind this. Just understand that crossed arms, you're probably doing it naturally. You're sitting down. All right, what do we want to do with public safety in our community in 2020 that we didn't do last year? You know, what ideas do you have on how we could do community outreach? What else could we do? How did that work? You're probably naturally doing it. Kids who are on the spectrum or who have sensory integration issues, you may know someone, they're often told to give themselves a hug. Number one, it's engaging both sides of their brain by doing that. And number two, it's sensory, it's that increase in pressure that's important to them. So I want you to be careful about reading people wrong when you're speaking at the lectern. Someone's crossing their arms, I see crossed arms, I go, well, that guy's 30% more likely to stay in my event versus the rest of these people here. I no longer have to get shaken or stirred by someone having crossed arms. Instead, if you see that person afterwards, you might say, maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems to me you were thinking about something. Because it might not be bad. They're just using both sides of their brains in that moment. Do you follow me? Yes? It's the biggest myth on reading people. Next. All right, crossed arms. Yeah, sometimes you're just cold. Next. So we see Adam Levine. Here are a bunch of CEOs and executives crossing their arms. Someone forgot to tell them it's seen as negative. Unless you have a big bank account, then it's seen as positive, right? Next, miss. Keep going. All right, you're going to choose A, B, or C. I'm going to give you a choice here. We're either going to talk about David Letterman when he confessed to Oprah about how he was cheating on his wife and how he was getting blackmailed. And we're going to talk about a body language pose connected to that. That's A. B, we're going to talk about Jussie Smollett. So Jussie Smollett is that actor that said a couple white guys in mega hats and a mask beat the crap out of him in Chicago last year. And we'll talk about something he says that indicates he's lying. Or we can talk about the college admission scandal and the power of baselining and get someone's normal behavior. So you're going to get to vote. So right now, talk to the person next to you. Which one do you want? Talk to the person next to you, and then I'll have you vote. I do this move all the time that people do. So, and the move it has mixed messages. So it's going to be not only David Letterman, but we're then going to go into Gary Sinise about this as well. So the actor Gary Sinise. So who wants A? So let me count them up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. All right, 27. All right, who wants B? Jussie Smollett? Oh my gosh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Definitely beat the first one. And who wants the college admission scandal? All right, Jussie Smollett just won. So here's the deal. I'll give you, hold on a second. I'll give you a little bit. I'm going to come on over here. We don't have an advancer today. So I'm going to give you, let me sit right here. It's all right.
Is that one of the hardest days of your life when you're standing behind the curtain or wherever you stand before you come out, when you know you're going to now, quote, confess to the country about what has happened?
Yeah, it was tough.
All right. So he lost his lips here. When we don't like what we see or hear, our lips disappear. Everyone pull your lips in and say, yeah, it wasn't that easy. Oh. Repeat after me. When we don't like what we see or hear, our lips disappear. Was it a politician? Was it New York? Who's the guy that hired the hooker with government funds? Elliot Spitzer. Is that it? Was he a New York guy? Yeah. I'm like a political idiot. The fact you even hired me as a keynote speaker, I have no idea how this all went down. Like, I just want to know, are Jen and Brad ever going to get married? Like, I'm that girl. I'm such an idiot in politics. Elliot Spitzer, remember him? Hit Google on Elliot Spitzer. Remember his wife was standing next to him in this big press conference, and his lips, like, not only pull in, but pull down, right? His whole lips get pulled in and pulled down. When we don't like what we see or hear, our lips disappear. You're now going to do this. Someone's going to ask you a question, and you're going to go, that's a good question. And you're going to say it's a good question because you're overcompensating because you think it's a shitty question, right? So you're like, I don't really like that question. So now I'm going to show you other body language tells you're doing when you don't like the question that's being asked or you don't have the answer ready to go. So right here, when he's doing this move, it's reflection. Take a picture, grab your phones. This right here is a tricky move. Gary Sinise did this as well. So reflection, you don't want to talk about it, or negative thinking. So it's reflection, negative thinking, or you don't want to talk about something. Here's Gary Sinise. It went crazy viral. I'm going to touch upon it for you, but I won't go deep. Next slide. A, B, or C. So these celebrities make this video for Gary Sinise to say, thank you for your contribution to the United States military. Thank you so much. And they make this unbelievable video, and they take him in this room, and they put him in front of a computer, and it's all these celebs. So he does this gesture similar to what we see David Letterman do if we were to watch that clip. The difference is Letterman is probably not wanting to talk about it, or it's negative thinking. Here it's the same gesture, but it has a positive twist, which is simply reflecting. I'm going to have you guess, which person do you think then speaks, and then we see Gary Sinise do this gesture? Do you think it's A, Jay Leno? Do you think it's B, what's his name? Ron Howard? Or do you think it's C, Colin Powell? Colin Powell. How many people think it's A? How many people think it's B? How many people think it's C? Let's see. Let's play it, miss.
Hi, Gary, Jay Leno. Just want to say thanks for all you do for the men and women of the armed forces. You know, every time I go to a USO show, visit troops, I always get, hey, Jay Leno, how you doing? You know who's just here? Who? Gary Sinise. Oh. In fact, he's been here 3 times. Is this your first time? Yeah, it's just my first time. Yeah, Gary's here 3 times. Brought us a bunch of stuff, too. Oh.
Your commitment, your dedication, your effort, you are awesome.
You are greatly appreciated coast to coast in the U.S. and base to base across the globe.
Thank you for all the things you have done for our young men and women who have served their nation. And not only for what you've done for them, but what you've done for their children, what you've done for their families, what you've done to help them rebuild their lives.
All right, round of applause, people who guessed C, good job. So be careful, I might be bored and disinterested and defensive here when I cross my arms. But please know, I'm using both sides of my brain. It doesn't mean it's the end-all, be-all. I could just be cold, or I could just be thinking, you know what, I wish I voted for you years ago. Because what you're doing today is life-changing. Like, I feel like you're authentic. And years ago, I don't know, I just didn't connect with your vibe. So you're going to see people crossing their arms, and it could be a positive thing. All right, so now we're here at Jussie Smollett. So if you didn't follow this case, I want you to write this down. For a little while, for about an 8-month period, I did a program for free online on Facebook called CLD, Celebrity Lie Detector. Anyone see this? Celebrity Lie Detector? So CLD, write it down. It's now on YouTube. And I analyzed whatever cases were on the media that week. I would start at 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes I wouldn't leave my office till 2 in the morning because I had so much to say. I knew immediately Jussie Smollett was lying. Immediately. How did I know this? Even before the 2 brothers were arrested. How did I know this? Because did anyone else know he was lying or suspect he was lying right out of the gate? Okay, what made you think he was lying right out of the gate?
Well, the story of what occurred, they lost
Yeah, kept it on for 35 minutes, a noose around his neck for 35 minutes and bleach all over him. You just didn't buy it. Anyone else? All right, here's what happens. Many things happen in this. Number one, Jussie Smollett, I'm going to ask you as politicians to be careful of offering evidence before it's asked. So be careful of offering evidence before it's asked. It's like when you go on a date and the guy says, I just want to let you know I'm not the kind of guy that would cheat on you. I want to say, oh my gosh, that's great news. Because I'm not the kind of girl that if you don't call me back, I turn into a Carrie Underwood song and I scratch the daylights out of your truck. Anyway. What do they serve here at the Outback? Anyway, it's a steak place, right? Be careful of offering evidence before it's asked. It makes us say, ooh, there's more to the story here. There's something that person is not telling me right now. I just want to I'm not the kind of politician that's going to make a promise and not keep it. Really? Then just don't say it. I don't have to say, everybody, I want to let you know I am not the mother of 16 daughters. I actually have 3 sons. We don't tell people who we are not. We tell them who we are. Nixon said what? I am not a crook. We don't tell people. Look at the person next to you, and I want you to tell them how many kids you have, but instead I want you to say the wrong amount or the wrong sex of kids. So if you have 2 daughters, I want you to say, I don't have 5 sons. Okay? Look at someone next to you. Say it so you can see how ridiculous it is. Jussie Smollett tells us, I'd have to be stupid to be making up something like this. I'm thinking, yeah, you got that part right. So Jussie Smollett talks about these guys, and here's the thing, my specialty is about truth. You know, I'm only here with you for an hour and 15 minutes today. I do a whole program on deception and honesty, and truthful people have a way of communicating differently than liars. See, truthful people convey information, and they expect you to believe it. Liars try to convince you of something. Are you on heroin right now, Heidi? No. She said no. She didn't say, absolutely not. I'm totally against drugs. You know, even at high school, I decided, I think drugs are stupid. She doesn't have to oversell. Please, no. When you are under a controversy and you're being asked questions, yes and no is a complete sentence. As a matter of fact, the strongest denial is a no. The worst thing you can do is what Bernie recently did, is went on to this long thing. You can go on YouTube and you can see what I said 20 years ago. This is called character testimony. Do you remember that guy that was running for president and then he was charged with all this sexual stuff, sexual allegations? Do you know what I'm talking about? He was the CEO of, is an African-American man. What's his name? Herman Cain. Herman Cain talked about Herman Cain all the time in these press conferences. He's like, Herman Cain would never do something like this. Listen, Herman Cain will be the first person to tell you that Herman Cain is, I'm like, listen, aren't we talking to Herman Cain? Be careful, a character testimony. When you bring in character testimony, you're overselling. Truthful people expect to be believed. You answer the question. So ask me if I'm high right now on marijuana gummies. Are you high right now on marijuana gummies? No. Although I shook my head yes, right? No. But is it legal here, and do you have any? No, I'm just kidding. I said I worked for the government for so long, I missed the whole drug generation. When I go to the dentist, that's my drug. I'm like, hey, kick up the nitrous a notch. That's all I got. That's all I got in life. It's nitrous. All right? So Jussie Smollett, when we tell the truthful stories, we remember them in specific details of what they happened. And Jussie Smollett says, this guy screamed, hey, Empire, the name of the show he's on. And Jussie turns around, and there's 2 guys there with MAGA hats, Make America Great Again. And he says, the attacker walks towards me. Immediately I knew he's lying. What makes me think he's lying with that one statement? He's not an attacker yet. He is not a truthful person. He's not an attacker. The guy that I think screamed, hey, Empire, he walked towards me. Seconds later, he punched me in the stomach. See, when we are telling the truth, we recall it in the way that it happened. But immediately, he's calling him the attacker. I go, oh, he planned it and said, hey, you'll be the attacker. So if you think you're good at lying, I'm going to tell you, you're way better. I think Bernie Sanders casually did say, I don't know if a woman can beat Trump in 2020. I don't know. And instead of him just owning it and saying, yes, I said it, but I think it's taken out of context, I was kind of just talking out loud, instead he denies it. And for 1 minute and 17 seconds, 1 minute, 17-second response, instead of just saying, no, I didn't say it, or I never said it, or she's a liar, he takes 1 minute, 17 seconds to prove to us why we think he could have never said something like that, or would have never said something like that. The truth is short and sweet. You don't have to make the case unless make the interviewers ask you more questions. You're giving us too much information. So immediately, people like me, I'm one of many, say, Bernie's not being forthright here. And I think he's probably a pretty typical forthright guy. But we lie 1 in 9 social situations, the average person. I think this is going to eat away like a pebble in his own shoe. Why didn't I just own it? I think he had bad coaching from some political advisor that said, no, just say. I think it's the kiss of death. And I don't know if you're Bernie people, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to hurt him himself more than any analyst can ever hurt him. Just pay attention to your language, pay attention to truth and honesty. Barack Obama wrote a book, said he did cocaine, and the reason he didn't try heroin is he didn't like the drug dealer that sold heroin before he became president. How many stories do we have in the news about Barack Obama tried cocaine in college and didn't take heroin because he didn't like the drug dealer's personality. But yet it's in a book. Listen, if you learn one thing about 2020, it's own your shit. Be authentic. We like people. We will knock down the doors and cheer you on if you are not perfect. But if you want to act like you're not perfect, today the world is not going to believe you. You're going to be out writing a book to make some money because you're not going to be a politician anymore. So right here, watch what happens with Jussie Smollett. Hit again.
For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them. Never did.
All right.
For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
I don't have any doubt in this whole response is what? Full of uncertainty and doubt. The whole entire thing, yes. Everything. So everything here. So ask me if I'm the mother of 3 sons. Yes. It's short and sweet. So he's saying, I don't have any doubt. His lips disappear. He's kind of stuttering and stammering here that this was them. And then he does something unique I'm going to talk about, which is shoulder shrugs. If you walk out of here with one body language move, it's a shoulder shrug. A shoulder shrug means the same thing here, which is uncertainty. So ask me if I've cheated on my husband. No. Do you believe me? Do you believe me? Good, that's an offer. Just kidding. Just kidding. A shoulder shrug means uncertainty. Look at the person next to you, and I want you to say, I like your hairstyle, and shrug. I like your hairstyle. I like it. If you walk out of here with one body language pose, it's this. It's this shoulder shrug. Here's what happens. You're going to be in a meeting, or you're going to be talking to your constituents, and you're going to say something, and you're going to shrug. But now, just like you have a deodorant rule, I just shined the flashlight on, you now have a rule about shoulder shrugging. And you're going to shrug, and when you shrug, if you don't address it, there's going to be people like me that's going to say, there's something he's uncertain about. There's something that person's not being forthright about. So when you shrug, you will notice it now. Understand the shrug is your subconscious saying, hey, we're not sure about this answer here. Pay attention. Have you ever walked out of a meeting and did we cover all the issues? Yes. You walk out 5 seconds later, you get 3 emails. Hey, we forgot to cover this, and I wanted to ask you about that. Has this ever happened to you? Or you text someone, I forgot. But your body language was telling you you're forgetting something. You're like, yeah, no, I think we covered it all. Your subconscious is saying, no, take a second. My advice to you at the end of meetings would be, let's take 3 minutes to make sure or even 1 minute. We're going to set the clock for 1 minute to make sure we covered all the issues, to give everyone's brain a second to catch up. Did we cover all the issues? So I'm not bombarded with 6 emails as I go to catch my airplane. It does not mean I'm a cheater. It means there's something I am not telling you. It means uncertainty. It means you just open a folder or a file cabinet I'm uncomfortable talking about, and you don't know what it is. So maybe I found out my husband cheated on me. Maybe a woman was crying in the bathroom while I was being introduced, and she goes, I think my significant other is cheating on me. All I did with the shoulder shrug is I'm letting you know you hit a topic I am uncomfortable talking about. It does not mean the opposite of what I'm saying. So to get to your point, it literally means uncertainty. With all body language, we do not know the catalyst of why someone's behavior is changing. It is up to you to be great at noticing it and asking powerful questions. Do you follow me? So you might say, repeat after me, everyone. Janine, have you ever cheated on your husband? No. Janine, maybe I'm wrong here. However, it feels to me there's something you're not saying. And then wait. W-A-I-T. Why am I talking? Give me a couple seconds. Yeah, I think my husband is cheating on me because I saw Tinder is now on his iPhone, on his main screen. So it always means uncertainty. It could mean what you're saying. We don't know what the catalyst is. You can only spot it. We don't know. It's up to you to notice the behavior and then ask a powerful question. Do you get it? Are we good? Are we good? All right, so you and I will agree to disagree. Okay, so we'll agree to disagree. So there's a guy named Dr. Paul Ekman. He is on the same list as Freud as 100 psychologists to ever influence the world. So he trained me. There's another guy named J.J. Newberry who's called a truth wizard. At 90% accuracy, can detect deception. I weigh in on criminal trials, like the Jodi Arias murder trial, the Scott Peterson. I'm probably going to go out to California with what's going on over there. So I've done this for a living. I am not a politician. I am a body language expert. I'm a communications person that has spent years. I'm telling you, what you're saying is chunked down. I'm saying it's up here. You have, just like that baby, you think you have it all figured out. You're politicians, you got elected. You don't want some chunky girl out of Alexandria, Virginia, some of you, telling what you want to do. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not. I'm a busy person. I don't have time to see my friends Carrie and Missy. Whether you like me or you don't like me is irrelevant. I promise you there'll be at least one tool that if you are open to using it will make you better at your jobs and better at connecting with the human beings in your life. There's going to be a lot of stuff I say that you just don't agree with. Great. What's your expertise? I just want to know what's your expertise. What makes you think that? Or is it a common belief that you've always had? Or maybe there's something else. So it's called an emblem. An emblem is like a middle finger, or an emblem is like come here. It has a very specific meaning to a culture. And the shoulder shrug emblem is uncertainty. What falls underneath it can be many, many elements. Yes? Oh, sorry, behind you first. Yeah. Yeah. That's congruent. Right. Hey, did you like being here today? Yes, I did. You're looking for congruency. A shoulder shrug, if you say, what do you want for lunch? BLT, salad, soup, I don't know. The verbal and the nonverbal are congruent. Yes, that's not a problem. You're looking for when body language is not congruent with what someone is saying. He says, I don't have any doubt in my mind that was them. Then shoulder shrugs. So he has doubt about something. We don't know if it is about them. We don't know. Maybe it's because we're constantly questioning him and he doesn't understand why we're not believing him. We don't know what the catalyst is. We just know there's a hot spot here. Yes. This audience has gone totally rogue. Yes.
You suffered a great tragedy, or you're
Yeah.
the only Democrat in an all board of Republicans. Everybody looks up to you.
Yeah.
Everybody looks up to you like this. It's the shoulder shrug with the neck. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Everybody in the world.
Yeah, it's uncertainty. It's how you do, are you okay? How are everything? It's uncertainty. It's uncertainty. Yes. One more question. You're going to miss like 16 other moves. So you can just like move on the shoulder shrug, which is the number one tell that someone's holding something back. Yes. Janine, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, except never ask why. Write this like a Ghostbuster symbol. Write the word why in a circle. Write the word why in a circle. By the way, these are still on. I'm watching you, all right? So write the word why in a circle and cross it off like Ghostbusters on a piece of paper, not in the sky like me. So why makes people feel judged? One of my mentors is a guy that was instrumental in bringing down the DC snipers and saving women and children from Waco, Texas. His name's Jim Kavanaugh. He's on television all the time on MSNBC. So Jim Kavanaugh is a hostage negotiator, and one of the first lessons hostage negotiators learn is never ask why. Why do you have a gun against that person right now? Why are you doing that? Why? Why makes people feel judged? Janine, I asked you if you ever cheated on your husband, and it seems to me you're uncertain about something. Why did you do this? You're the last person I'm ever going to tell, because I'm already feeling judged by you. It's none of your business. You know, how much money do you make for a living? Why would you like to know that? That's a great time to use why, because now you're letting me know that question's inappropriate. Understand whys should be, so repeat after me. Say bye to why. Allow what and how. So instead of saying to your kids, why are you playing video games for 5 hours? You're addicted to video games. You have been in here for 5 hours. Now you're assigning your kid the trait of addiction. You're saying they're an addict over and over and over again. So when they're 20 and 30 and they're introduced to drugs and porn and gambling, how many times have you and your significant other said they're an addict? Right? We all do it. But what if instead, listen, I'm confused. What is so exciting about playing video games for 5 hours? Because you and your teachers, your teachers and I, we all say, Angus, you make smart decisions. Isn't this true? Do you make smart decisions? He says, yes. Now I'm flipping the script and I'm assigning him the trait I want them to have. I did a TED Talk on this called the cooperation paradigm. It's how can we start thinking like a hostage negotiator to get what we want out of any difficult situation. So step one is assign people the traits you want them to have. Everyone says as a politician, you are all about respect and honor, and your word means something. Is that true? Right, well, are you like up for re-election, or how's this going? Okay. So watch this, right? So pay attention. Everyone says at the end of the day you do the right thing. Is that true? First of all, terrible answer. What happens is people will then say yes. So David Koresh, when the hostage negotiator got on the phone with David Koresh, the hostage negotiator said, everyone out here says you're a man of your word. Is that true? David Koresh said yes. Now he's primed his brain. Even if he doesn't think it's true, you create what's called cognitive dissonance in the brain. And when there's cognitive dissonance, whatever happens next goes to that subconscious level. So what happens here, everyone says you're a man of your word, David Koresh. Is that true? David Koresh said yes. The hostage negotiator said, well, would you let women and children go if I got your words read on the national Christian radio show? And David Koresh said yes. 2 by 2, he would let them go, women and children, if his words were read on the Christian radio show. Guess what happened? He followed through with his word until chaos continued to break out, and then he stopped. It was the last time women and children left that building at the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. It's not asking why. Say bye to why. I'll give you a quick example. My husband is the guy that likes lights all over the house that connect to an app. So it's red, blue. So when I'm folding laundry, I don't know how to work the app. I'm an idiot electronically. So I have to text my husband or call him and say, can you put the living room lights from red to white, please? I'm folding laundry. I come home a couple months ago. I come home, and it's after midnight, and we have a motion detector light in our backyard, and we have those wooden blinds. You might have a house like ours with those wooden blinds or know someone that does. And so we live in Alexandria, Virginia, out in the boonies a little bit, in nature. And so anytime a raccoon goes by or an animal, the motion detector light goes off. We bought the house in 2005. Guess what happens? I come in. All of a sudden, through the blinds, I see a green light shining through. Looks like an alien ship has just landed in our backyard to welcome me home. My husband wakes up. He goes, oh, Janine, did you see that I changed the motion detector light in the backyard from white to green? I go, yeah, looks like an alien ship is landing in our backyard. Why did you do that? I'm not great at it. I know this for a living, and I'm not using the tools that I know. I'm going to invite you to do a reset. So I said to my husband, let me do a reset here. If you ask why are you doing that? Or why does it seem nervous? Say, let me ask that in a different way. Let me do a reset. What are you feeling right now? What's going on in your head right now? What and how questions. So I said to my husband, let me reframe it instead of why did you do that? What led you to do that? To change not attitude-y, not like what led you to do that? Not like I'm having with this guy here, like not that kind of attitude. He's like, she's a real peach. Afterwards, he had like a side conversation for 3 minutes about how much of an idiot I am, right? What he doesn't realize is I'm his future friend. Like, I'm walking out with one friend, and it's that guy right there. It's that stubborn guy right there, because he's me in a white-haired, goateed little body, right? Here's the thing. I don't hate this guy. He's stubborn. And stubborn people, when they meet other stubborn people, don't back down. So we just create this very awkward thing in the audience for everybody else. And we don't even give a shit. We're like, well, I'm standing my ground. And he's like, oh, yeah? Did you see her? And I'm thinking in my head, oh, yeah? I'm about to love you. I'm thinking I'm going to have a mad love affair with that guy. And he doesn't even know it, because you're my people. You're my people. So you can badmouth me all you want, whispering back there. I'm here to love you up, my friend. Stubborn people, we persist against difficult odds, and when the going gets tough, we get tougher. So when you say, if you buy the car today, I can give you $20,000 off, but if you leave, I'm not giving it to you. Me and this guy right here go, listen, you and I both know that technique has been around since the 80s and 90s, And if I come back a month from now and I buy that truck, I'm going to get that truck. It says no hate on this. Look at this. We're on the hug program right here. Okay? I'm here to love you up there, buddy. He's just stubborn, and I'm stubborn. That's just who we are. But you know what? That's a weakness that we have of being stubborn at everyone else's expense. We begin to get stubborn. But the strength is we persist against difficult odds. My husband is the opposite of us. He's what I call, a cute little nickname, lazy. So my husband I come home, there's dishes everywhere. One night, though, there's 2 dishes in the sink. I almost had a heart attack. And I said to my husband, his name's Leaf, and we have a split-level house. He's watching TV. I go, Leaf, I guess I'm confused. Who did the dishes? He goes, I did the dishes. Like, oh, my gosh. I walk over to the sink. There's 2 dirty cups in the sink. Leaf, is the dishwasher full? There's 2 cups in the sink. He goes, oh, no, The Walking Dead started. I'm going to wash those cups in the morning. Gah. I profiled my husband, and he doesn't have, what's your name, sir? My husband doesn't have what Mark and I have. When Mark and I talk, we have an increase in pressure, like this. When we tell stories, it's intense. Some of you are very awkward about our little interaction, right? Our blows, verbal blows, right? Some of you are like, oh, can we move on? Can someone wrap this, right? Because we get like this. It's our curse and our blessing. My husband lacks the oomph. So he ran out of oomph with doing the dishes. So new Janine goes and washes the dishes. Old Janine, before I knew it, would be in a big fight. You're so lazy, you can't finish it. I used to call him the 80% man. Who can paint a room? Who can paint a room? Leave 20% undone. The 80% man. You know, you're married to someone like my husband, right? What's the strength of someone like my husband, opposite than us? Flexibility. Whose family do you think we spend every Christmas with? In the 15 years of marriage, take 2 guesses. The first one doesn't count. My family, right? Anywhere we want to go, he says, I want steak. I'm like, we're going to go to the Silver Diner. I want a couple eggs. And my husband's like, well, I'm really craving like the Outback Steakhouse. I'm like, yep, I think we're going to the Silver Diner. He's like, all right. But that guy means he comes with a couple dirty dishes and a messy house and a room 80% painted. When I was gone last year for 17 days in a row, we have 3 sons. The youngest, Jack, is 5. Last year was 4. And I was gone 17 days in a row from speaking event to a speaking event. You know what happened when I came home? When I came home, my husband said, boy, we missed you. Did you meet any swearing Christian friends while you were out there? Welcome home. If I was married to someone like me, and I was gone 17 days, he would likely be like, this is bullshit. You're gone. Why do we have 3 sons? It's me and the au pair raising the kids. This is ridiculous, Janine. Why don't you get a training job here in D.C. and not travel all over the kingdom? You don't think I have a job? I'm in politics. I can't work nights and weekends because you're off gallivanting all around the country. But this guy comes with the whole room painted and all the dishes done. Well, I know our conversation went a little rogue, but I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe there's someone in here right now that needs this message. Because what happens is we get mad that the rhinos in the room need to make a lot of noise that have a footprint. We get mad when the giraffes have a long neck. We want people to make decisions and interact and think like we do. And what you don't realize is the people who drive you nuts in your life, congratulations. Together, you make more balanced decisions. You're impulsive. Someone else wants to run scenarios. They might be seeing gloom and doomy. They want an option A, B, C. You want to just go for the opportunity. You butt heads, but together, like my husband and I, you make better decisions. You become a stronger team. And when we make decisions differently than human beings, it's connected to movement. Myself and it's Mark, right? It's Mark. In Boston, we say Mac. So when I first moved to Connecticut, the Brady bill was passing. Remember the Brady bill? Temporary Brady? And I put a phone call on hold. I was 21. The guy across from me was Mark. I go, Mark. This guy, Neil Earl from Pennsylvania, looks up. He goes, what are you saying? They all thought I was just there making sound effects. Like, Mark. We're different. We're the same, but we want people in our lives that are different. But it means it does not come with no conflict. If you have people right now, your in-laws, your kids, people that you're not connecting with, I'm letting you know it's connected to body language movement. It's called movement pattern analysis. And I've done 4 TED Talks. There's a TED Talk on this out there as well. Just put my name in YouTube and you can see it. And it's powerful of paying attention to the movements that people do. Who in here likes to run a bunch of scenarios? You need a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, right? You can't have enough plans. People kind of talk about you behind your back and say you're a little gloom and doomy. We get a great idea. You're like, but that's going to be too expensive, or that's not going to look good in the public eye, or right? Where are you? Running scenarios? All right. I'm going to show you the body language move you guys do. You want to see it as we begin to wind down? Yes? Say yes, Janine. Okay. Everybody lean back. These are 2 moves all human beings on planet Earth, trust me, Mark, I'll give you my business card. We could talk more later. Ready? And lean forward. It's called advancing and retreating. So Beyonce does this move a lot. Watch Beyonce in an interview, even Beyonce's mother. They lean backward and forward. So this is leaning into the future. Everyone lean into the future. And bring the future to today. So these are the people that run scenarios. They need a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. And these people can kind of stress us out because we can think that you're gloom and doomy. You're the but what if this happens people. But here's the strength of that. You're the trend spotters. You're the people that set goals, measure progress, update plans. Those people that drive us crazy who run scenarios, they're one of our biggest strengths that we have. Set goals, measure up, run the plans, right? They're the trend spotters. They can see, they don't think they're trend spotters, but they can see what the big issues are going to be or what the big problems potentially could be, and they bring them to right now. We're judgmental people. Where are you? Where are my judgmental people? Right? Some of you are worried about being judged, about being judgmental. So judgmental people, you sit at diagonals often. So everybody lean forward at a diagonal. Everybody cross a leg and lean at a diagonal. Okay? Lean forward at another diagonal. So these are the scales of justice people, right? So they lean at diagonals more often. Even standing, they could be at a diagonal like this. As soon as I walk by, I see them, I'm like, judgmental. We think judgmental is bad. Judgmental is also great. You know, orange is the big trend in 2020. I love that you're wearing orange. My new website has orange and blue on it. I love it, right? So we pass judgment good and bad. It's not just bad. Without judgmental people, your egos would be deflated because judgmental people tell you when you kill it. Judgmental people, our weakness is being judgmental. We prejudge information and events and people. The strength of judgmental people, like me, evaluators, are they weigh pros and cons. They're motivated to prioritize. They can create a system out of chaos, create a system. Because they're like the A-team. They see what's in front of them and evaluate, hey, I think we can use this metaphor to get our point across. You follow me? So this is connected to movement, and I went rogue here with this because I'm going to invite you to stop getting mad at the giraffes in your life, stop getting mad at the rhinos in your life, and just understand we're all different. How can we together still get along and be a sense of community? It's okay to have a heated discussion as long as you connect back and say, you know, I operate out of inspiring people to look at their world in a different way. I operate out of love. My purpose is to help other human beings. His pin says what? Yeah, so and I'm going to reframe that. Next time I want you to see it, love only. Love only. We say to our kids, don't bully, don't bully, don't bully. We don't hear don't. Whatever comes after that is a subliminal message to our subconscious level. Don't run in the street, don't run in the street. The kid runs in the street. Don't touch that, don't touch that. The kid touches it. Don't go in the kitchen, I just washed the floor. Don't go in the kitchen. Your kid walks in the kitchen and goes, I don't even know why I'm in this kitchen. I don't even know, but mom said don't come in here, so I'm wondering what's going on. I'm going to invite you for next year to flip that script, love only, 100% love, to change the lens, because when your lens is not to hate, you begin to look for hate and strife. If we can flip the script in our lives, we can flip the results that we get. And I'm a work in progress, constantly. I mean, 2 years ago, I lost 140 pounds. I gained 120 pounds back after my husband had a heart attack. See, what I didn't finish here, and I'm going to show one last video, is this. My husband, when he changed that light outside to green, And I said to him, yeah, why did you do that? Looks like an alien ship landing in our backyard. I said, stop. Leaf, let me say it differently. Let me reset that. What led you to change the motion detector to green? He said, you know how I had a heart attack in April? I said, yeah, he's 54. I go, yes. And he goes, the doctor said to do things to decrease my stress. You know how I suffer from anxiety and I can't sleep at night? I said, yes. He goes, you know I go out swimming in the pool, right? In the middle of the night, 2 or 3 in the morning to relax? And I said, yes. He goes, well, since we put the pool in our house in 2006, that motion detector light has been shining on my face and stimulating me. And I want to be around for the boys and for you. So I wondered, if I turn the light from white to green or blue, would my stress decrease? Would it be a tool to help me stick around longer? Now, when you ask a what or a how, to get to the why, you have to go 2 levels deep. So I can't just ask one what. I need to either ask 2 whats or 2 hows or what and how. So I said to my husband, had you been there in our room, now it's 12:30 at night, you would have heard me then say, Leaf, what have you noticed since you changed the color of the bulb? He said, last night I went out, Janine, and I had no idea since we put this pool in our backyard in 2006 that at night we can see all of the stars in the sky because that white light was drowning it out. And I laid out there for 45 minutes and came in and fell asleep like a baby. So to get to the why, the best way to do it is to eliminate, say bye to why, and use your what and how to get you to that why in a much more powerful, inclusive way. There are about 7 billion people on planet Earth, and there are 36 billion different movement pattern analysis profiles. We call them your behavioral fingerprint, and they connect to how you move your body. And this, we didn't touch on this deep, just a little bit here. I'm telling you this because I was raised as a brunette. I have brown hair, brown. But since I was 17, I've been coloring my hair blonde, 17. But guess what happens every 6 weeks? The ladies know. What happens every 6 weeks? My roots begin to grow back in. You think my hair would get with the program and catch on. I'm 49, I've been doing it since 17. You think my hair would catch on and start coming in blonde. You can try to change planet Earth all you want, but when it comes to human beings, you can change them for about 6 weeks, and then their roots are going to come back in. All you can do is our weaknesses will remain our weaknesses and our strengths are strengths. You've got to create strategies around their weaknesses. A strategy. So when I get stubborn, I say to myself, 7 below, let it go, 8, 9, 10, be stubborn then. And I say, how important is it for me right now, that I stand my ground with this very handsome, powerful politician. Everyone else is sitting down. He's like, I will not sit down, I will stand, I am her equal, right? So this guy's standing back here, right? He's standing back, look, right in the middle of the room out of the 3 doors. We stand in the middle, and this is the frame. We frame ourselves to fame ourselves. So this guy's important, right? I get it. So I have to say in my head, I had to let it go and move on. 7 below, let it go. 8, 9, 10, freak out then. That's a strategy because I'm always going to be stubborn. It's never going to disappear. My stubbornness saved my life when I was 15. My stubbornness got me to say, okay, I can't get 1.8 miles home, but I'll be determined to get to Baybank. My stubbornness and that increase in pressure literally saved my life. Where are we judging the people, our support system and our team? Where are we judging them because we want them to be our way? There's thousands of different behavioral profiles, and we make decisions differently. You just got to figure out what's the corresponding strength to this really crappy weakness that keeps showing up to you. I'll give you my name. It's Janine Driver. My website's JanineDriver.com, Janine. If I can help you, you have a question, you have like, this one person is blank. It's so detail-oriented at the expense of achievement. She wants to research the research and then recommends more research. Help me. What's the strategy for that person? They get into analysis paralysis. But they're so great. How can I help that person? I'd be more than willing to help any of you. As I say my goodbyes, I want you to talk to the person next to you. What is your biggest takeaway from this program today? And how can it make you a better human being? Whether it's in politics or as a parent, how can it make you a better human being? All right, so take just a minute. I'm going to cue up my final video. Talk to the person next to you.
For me, when that was released,
And my daughter said, oh, and I'm...
Did you see my mouse? Am I in presentation mode? Presenter view. A presenter view, I can... Yeah, but I'm seeing it. Hold on. What, is it this? What's this? Hold on. Okay. Get ready to go to my mom's video. Get ready to go to my mom's video in a second. Yeah. Okay. All right. How you doing? Good? Everybody shake it off. I have an expression. If you can't giggle it off, wiggle it off. So everybody stand up real quick. You're going to do a little wiggle from your forehead to your fanny. Many times I've had to walk behind people wiggling at the end of a conversation. You'll see me wiggling down the hallway probably after this event. All right? So everyone wiggle. Repeat after me. If you can't giggle it off, wiggle it off. And the reason this works, it goes back to babies and developing. Newborn babies, before they start to crawl, roll over. And when a baby rolls over, they use their butt and their forehead to roll their bodies over. This is the stage in development for babies where they look at their fingers and their toes. It's all about bringing it back to self. So if you can notice, I'm really stressed or angry right now, I'm telling you what happens with your body language is you bind. You get tight, you get like this. If you just simply relax, you'll make smarter decisions. You'll make smarter decisions. So if you can't giggle it off, wiggle it off. Sometimes you notice it about yourself and then just do a wiggle. Just do a wiggle. I have to do this quite a bit. All right, take a seat. All right, who wants to share their biggest takeaway for the day from my program? Anybody? Who's going to share? Come on, stand up. I see you, sister. Okay. All right, what's your name and what's your biggest takeaway?
Anna Kellis from Tompkins County. My biggest takeaway was actually self-realization when you were talking about body poses and that defining character of, judging type, but realizing the positive and the negative.
Yes.
And particularly, I really want to work with you to figure out, like, what are the strategies for the parts that aren't necessarily helping me.
Yes, okay, great. That might not be helping you, your biggest weaknesses. Great, awesome. And again, there's a bunch of different TED Talks on there, different powerful words. Someone else want to share? A big takeaway? All right.
March Gallagher. I was very suspicious coming here, and I didn't want to come. I thought it was going to be too girly, and I thought this talk was going to be about like how women should hold themselves to have more impact. My biggest takeaway, though, was on the why, that I could get so much further, learn so much more if I'm not kind of coming at people with that really harsh question.
Yeah, that why. Say bye to why. It's life changing. And I notice when I say it, and I go, we live in the why. Our brain wants to know why things are the way they are, and we immediately feel judged when someone asks us a why. You want to share something? I'm seeing your body language here.
Hi, my name is Marianne. I'm a newly elected treasurer for Schoharie County. I'm also the first woman to hold this role in my county, so no expectations there, right? When you were talking about the situation with your husband and being gone 17 days and you have the 3 boys and he came home and that probably would have been me too. I can't believe you were gone that long. Don't do that again to me. But it wasn't. Your husband was loving and caring and asking you questions, and you were like, I'm saying this because I feel like I need to say it to somebody, and I almost felt like you were saying it to me because I traveled a lot with my job, and the say no to why and the way you reframe your questions to help with better communication and get the end result that everybody wants.
Yeah.
And I agree with what she said over there. I was going to be all about, girls, la, 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 rah, 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 but I thought it was, I could listen to you all night.
Well, thank you. Well, my mother must have forgot to tell me that women can't be powerful. So I very rarely will say I'm a woman powerful leader. I have 3 sons, so for the men in the room, good luck, man. Today, we're out to get, especially the white guy, and as a mother of 3 little white boys, my kids can't go help the girl that's bleeding on the side of a road who's drunk now, They have to stay their distance with other people as witnesses and call it in. And if you're in the black community, it's 10 times worse because you worry about not your kids getting charged with sexual harassment. You worry about your kid coming home alive. So for the men that are in the room, ladies, let's give them applause. Thanks for being good men. Thank you for being good men. I'm going to briefly go over what we did not cover so I can end with this one video, which is I invite you right here. Fred Rogers went up the hill and to a very difficult senator named Pastore. And Senator Pastore said to Fred Rogers when he was asking money for his show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, "Go ahead, Rogers, go ahead." And in 5 minutes and 20 seconds, Mr. Rogers turns the tide, and the senator says, "I haven't had goosebumps in months, and you just gave me goosebumps." 2 minutes later, he says, "Mr. Rogers, you just earned yourself $25 million. Who would like to know how to turn the tide in less than 5 minutes with the most difficult people in your life, right? You can watch him. I did analyze him in a celebrity lie detector, so it's on YouTube. So it's okay going a little rogue and being present with this audience. So feel free, go in, CLD, my name, Janine Driver, Fred Rogers, and you can see me analyze him in every step of the way. He uses a lot of verbal embedded commands and says a lot of things of what he wants the person to think and not think. The next one is the lips disappearing. When we don't like what we see or hear, our lips disappear. This is a real case study. Again, it's on another celebrity lie detector on YouTube. This woman, fastest female runner on planet Earth, went in to buy virtual training. I called the guy from the virtual training company. His name's Brad Lee. I go, "Hey, that woman in your podcast, she didn't buy the training, did she?" He goes, "No, she didn't. How did you know?" I go, "Every time you said it cost $25,000 to launch the virtual training, her lips disappeared. When we don't like what we see or hear, our lips disappear." Then we talked about the power of how body language happens before thought. And we would have analyzed mean tweets on Jimmy Kimmel. Over here we see George Costanza doing the one move if you walk out is the shoulder shrug, uncertainty. Down here, if we went to the bottom, it's very simple. Truthful people show us their palms. So I'm going to invite you as politicians to start, or supporters of politicians, if you want people to believe you, start making sure you're showing us your palms. When you hold back here, it's when you're holding back on something. So right here, blah, 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 blah. We know this blah, 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 blah. There's something you're not telling us. And our brains pick up on it. It's called an N400. I call it a brain hiccup. It's like a heart monitor. And when your body language is not congruent with what you say, the brain goes, "Wait a minute, I don't believe her. I don't believe her," and it does this hiccup. So start paying attention to palms. They start facing them. They're holding back on something. This next one is Ted Bundy. He's combing his hair with his fingers. What many of you have never been told, and you'll never unsee this, is if you're in a meeting and I go like this means what? This is agreement. I'm listening. There is a body language gesture that takes agreement and turns it to disagreement. And you walk out thinking, "Oh, it's a done deal. I've got this whole community. They said they're going to do this big fundraiser for me. We're good to go." And then nothing ever happens. And you're like, "I don't understand it." She looked me in the face. She said it was good. She was nodding her head yes. And what it is, it's a pacifier that happens above the shoulders. At the same time someone's saying yes, they go like this. Everyone go, "Yeah, that sounds good." They're saying, "Yeah, there's a problem here, and I'm not going to bring it up to you because I don't want to have to deal with your stuff." Okay? Now I go like this. "Yeah, all right, not a problem. Consider it done." Any pacifying of the face at the same time someone says yes and nodding their head has turned agreement to disagreement. They're like, yeah, okay, sounds good, that's good. They're really saying, "Yeah, it's never going to happen." But they want to lie. They're going to lie to you because they don't want to get into a conflict, especially with a politician, right? So they're going to say, "Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, you answered my questions. Yeah, you answered it." And they walk out and say, "That guy's a tool." Right? So start to notice this even yourself when you're saying yes. If you're pacifying above the head, it indicates something. A guy came up to me crying, 6'5", very handsome guy. I don't even know I'm allowed to say that anymore, but very handsome. He's a firefighter, and he was crying at the end of my event. I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "My wife is full of such anger. She yells constantly, and I yell back. And she has a brain tumor in her head, and she has it from a year ago. And she's full of anger. And in your presentation today, you said something that changed my marriage. And what I had said at that event is anger is a secondary emotion to fear, anxiety, and sadness, especially with men. Men do not like to show anxiety or fear So men will get angry. I already answered that question. Listen, I need this to get done right now. What's the holdup? And we think they're angry, but really, ask yourself, are they really sad? Are they suffering? Is there anxiety here? Or are they scared about something? The election's coming up. People probably get more anxious and more angry around election time. This guy said, I think my wife is terrified. It's a ticking time bomb in her brain. And I walk around, every time she yells at me, I yell back. It's like giving a baby who's crying a bottle, but the reason the baby's crying is he's got a soiled diaper. You're exasperating the situation. If the wife just said, I'm terrified, I'm scared out of my mind, the husband probably wouldn't be yelling at her. But he's treating what he sees. So anger, we did not get time to talk about it, and I can't talk about it now more than that. Anger is a secondary emotion to fear, anxiety, and sadness. And many of us read people wrong. And then the last are just going into other versions of pacifiers. I'm going to end now with I think I'm out of time. I started a little late, Can I end with this 5-minute story, or are we good? I won't charge you guys extra. I like you. Any good leader under-promises and over-delivers. It's the least I can do. I won't charge you for my VIP time. I'm going to end with 2 stories. One, I like camping. Any campers here? I love camping. I love it. Oh, Mark's my camper. There we go. I camp in Maine every summer. We used to have a cottage. And I told my husband, we got to sell the cottage because the boys are inside when mosquitoes come out and the sun goes down. I want them to get bit by mosquitoes and learn how to light a fire and know how to make a s'more. I want them walking around talking to strangers, other kids at a playground. Today, we play with our kids at playgrounds. They no longer are taught to interact with other children at a public playground. It is us playing with them. But there's something about the camping vibe that keeps us back in the 70s and 80s. And it's like, hi, I'm Jack. Hi, I'm Charlie. We're playing, zombie tag. My husband goes, I'm 50. My camping days are over. I go, oh, that's so funny. Your camping days have just begun. Because Jack was 2 and Charlie was 3 and Angus was 11. I tell you this story because what I don't like about camping is the RVs. The campers are so dark. Dark floors, dark furniture, everything's dark. So this past August, in September, I decided to remodel my camper. My father has a cottage up the street. Now, my mother died of breast cancer 6 years ago. And my dad is now living in Sen with his girlfriend, Louise, in Florida. They have a cottage that's in Maine, my mom and dad's cottage, and we love Louise. And they come, my dad and Louise, and they spend the summers in Maine and the winters in Florida. My father comes over and he sees, I have my contractor there, family friend, this guy, Raimundo. I had him come up from Virginia because I trust him. I like him. And so Raimundo, who spends Christmas Eve with me, with his family, he's family to us, Raimundo has all the supplies. And my father comes over and he goes, hey, Janine, tell me that flooring product right there is not what you're putting in the camper. I go, Dad, it's what I'm putting, obviously it's here, it's what I'm putting in the camper. He goes, yeah, your mother put that shit in our basement years ago. It's the peel and stick stuff that when you attach it to the ground, it pops back up. I told your mother not to buy it. She bought it, and a week later, a month later, it was all popping up. It's shit, Janine. You get what you pay for, return it, and buy laminate wood. I go, Dad, first of all, Mom did the basement like 40 years ago, okay? Second of all, this is not peel and stick tile. It's peel and stick grooved flooring. It's like plastic. And the kids get water everywhere. It's a camper. Mold cannot grow under it. It's actually a floating floor, and mold can't get underneath it. It's different. My father goes, you get what you pay for. 4 hours go by. They cook a big dinner. Louise is an excellent cook, invites myself, my contractor, Raimundo's son and daughter are there, teenagers, and my 2 little guys, and Angus, my oldest, who's sick and throwing up in the bedroom at my dad's cottage. My father, after this great dinner, goes, so, are you returning the floor, or are you not returning the floor? I go, I'm not returning the floor. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Janine. You always had your head up your ass. That's your problem. Your friggin' problem is it's your way or the highway. I get up. Now, inside, you know what I'm thinking? Mom is dead at 66. She was a nurse for elderly, homeless people. She breathed hope and love inside of all of us, every human being she saw value in. And God left us with you? I have a new mantra. mantra, though, ladies and gentlemen, here in New York is, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? And I had to stop myself. And I said it in my head, and I got up, and I said, I'm leaving. I took the kids. They had never seen my dad angry. I got him in the car. We had to go get a hotel because my camper's being remodeled. We were staying at the cottage that night. And I don't take my dad's calls. One after another, he's calling me every 2 hours, screaming at me. Followed me out to the truck, telling me my head's up my ass. I'm hurting inside. And I'm thinking, I will not be verbally abused by my father. I'm not of the 3 daughters. I'm the one that sticks around. I'm the one, when you don't look, I take all your bills off your counter and I take them home and I pay them without ever telling you. I'm the daughter that shows up constantly. I'm the daughter that hops on a plane and goes and sees you in Florida, and Carrie and Kayleen, my younger sisters, have never been there. I will not be spoken to that way. But then I realize anger is a secondary emotion to fear, anxiety, and sadness. Is my dad really angry about the floor? He's not paying for it. He's not sleeping in it. He's not installing it. What do you think's really going on for my dad? He's remembering my mom and a time she didn't listen to him. 2 weeks go by. My dad's calling me every now and then. I don't answer. Well, guess what? I go to a movie theater church. It's a Christian church and a movie theater. It's like modern, modern Christian. My dad came one time. It wasn't his cup of tea. So finally he calls me after 2 weeks. He goes, listen, your movie theater church is not working. Call me. It's your father. I think you need to start praying to God directly because your church is not working. God is waiting to hear from you, and so am I. Now, everything inside of me wanted to be right and call him with a lecture. And I picked up the phone after 2 weeks, and I called Dad. And had you been on that call, you would have heard me say, Dad, I am so sorry I could not take your calls over the last couple weeks. I'm so sorry I walked away while you were talking about the floor with Mom. I was not in a place where I trusted me and how I would respond. Everyone wants to matter and belong. And I say when people feel they matter and belong, cooperation will be strong. I go, Dad, you matter to me. You're important to me. And I didn't trust me, so I needed to take a time out. I am now in a place to hear what you have to say. Please call me. My phone rang 5 seconds later. He goes, hey, babe, next week is the anniversary of your mom's death. And it just triggered something inside of me, and I'm so sorry I yelled at you. And I went by the camper. Raimondo did a great job. The floor looks beautiful. I end with this story and one last little one here to tell you that, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? Sometimes to be effective, we need to do it a different way. My mom used to say, if we change that Kenny Rogers song a little bit, we'd have a much better planet. You know that song, Gambler? Got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. As a nurse for elderly homeless people, when what she tried didn't work, she took a step back, and instead of running, she came back at a different angle. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and come back at a different angle. It's something I'm working on. I don't think I handled this perfectly today, but next time I'll handle it a lot better. It ended with a hug and a hello and a new friend, and at the end of the day, I think that that's a win. And then we learn from our experiences. That's where authenticity lies. Now, my last story is my mom. When my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, they were high school sweethearts. Mass General told my mom when it metastasized to Mom's liver that Mom had 3 weeks to 3 months to live and get her affairs in order. I'm sitting there with my dad and my 2 sisters and my mom, and 5 people came in and told us different versions, similar messages. I did my palm down gesture, enough. See, as a swearing Christian, I believe the antidote to fear is hope. And if you're going to steal hope from someone, all they are left with is fear and terror. So I took my mom and my dad back to Wells, Maine. I'm from Massachusetts, Waltham, Mass. So we drove an hour and a half to Wells, Maine. Mom called it heaven on earth. And I go, Mom, we're going to do an experiment. I want you to find the biggest rock you can find. And it's going to symbolize you putting everyone's needs ahead of yourself. Because as a nurse for elderly homeless people, you put everyone ahead of you. And it is taking a toll on your body. I want you to hold it. When your arms begin to shake, Mom, will you walk to the ocean's edge and throw it into the ocean and come back and say to me, this year's all about me? Mom said, yes, I'll do that. She held it for so long, I was like, wrap it up already. like some of you might be saying right now. And Mom walked to the ocean's edge and threw the rock, and Dad pointed to where Mom threw it. And Mom walked back to me, and had you been there in Wells Beach, you would have heard and seen Mom say, I guess this year is all about me. You can't unsee it. What you do next is where greatness lies. You can't unsee it. It's what you do next, what Mom would call live life at level 10. That's greatness, being the best version of you. So I said to Mom, like all of you would do, the great people here of New York, I said, Mom, say it again without this. She goes, it's all about me. I go, level 10. And Mom screamed, it's all about me! It's a public beach. 3 strangers looked at Mom, and she did what we would do. She yelled at them. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's all about me. And Mom took those 3 weeks to 3 months and spilled it into 3.5 more years, where she saw me give birth to baby Charlie after struggling with 7 years of infertility and miscarriages, saw me give birth to little Charlie, and Charlie chin-grabbed Angus, his big brother, and my mother took that picture that day for me. She got to see a miracle happen. What I didn't tell you is I videotaped Mom that day. Would you like to introduce her as I say my goodbyes? Yes? Say yes, Janine. Yes. All right, let's roll it, and if we can kill the lights, let's kill the lights. Okay, next one. Thank you. I was raised Catholic, and when Mom died, we Catholics have what's called a wake. Over 568 people came to Mom's wake. Police had to be called. There was no place to park, and traffic was down the side of the road. And I looked around, and my dad and my sisters and I, we only knew about 120 people in the room. And what we realized that day, that the almost 600 people that showed up to honor her, they could not tell their life story without mentioning our mother's name. I'm here to let all of you know, the industry you have chosen to be in, you can make way more money doing what I'm doing right now as a keynote speaker, and way more money as a CEO of a big company. But your dedication to public service, there are millions of families that cannot tell their life story, and their children's children cannot tell their life story without you being somehow connected. You have created a law or a regulation, or you saw someone who was struggling, or you created a program that allowed people to be seen, and they may never know you, they may not even like you, and they may not even realize what you have done for them. So I'm here to thank you. What you do is significant, and I know for sure that I cannot tell my life story without the politicians that have influenced this great country of ours and the states that I've lived in all around this great country. So on behalf of all the Americans who have not said thank you, I want to be the first of hopefully many to say thank you for doing exactly what you're doing. My name is Janine Driver. Thanks for playing with me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.